don't have any kids. I consider this very disrespectful.
Right.
Here are the reasons why I think our first embryo transfer may have failed. I do want to preface this by saying I have not met with my doctor yet because it hasn't even been a week yet since we found out that the transfer was unsuccessful. But these are the things that had concerns about going into the transfer, but my fertility doctor did not. So that's why we moved forward. And my prolactin levels, I have.
The chances of conception in this cycle.
Hey friends, so y'all know your girl is in her pre-mom era doing all the things to get my body right for a future pregnancy. So here are the appointments I've had so far and that I highly recommend if you're planning to conceive within the next 6 to 12 months. First up, genetic testing. You could be a carrier for something and not even know it, and if your partner is too, it could affect your baby's health. So the counselor walks you through everything about genetics, potential conditions, and you literally just spit in a tube for the test super quick and truly gives you a peace of mind. Then I had a preconception appointment with my OBGYN. They ran a full blood panel, including my AMH, to get a better sense of my egg reserve. You should also ask for a full thyroid panel, and you can get a transvaginal ultrasound here to make sure your uterus and ovaries are looking good. Now, going to a reproductive endocrinologist isn't a must, but I decided to establish care after finding out my AMH was a little low. They just go deeper with fertility insights and will often see you way earlier than an OB when you do get pregnant. Mine also did my transvaginal ultrasound since my OB didn't. The ultrasound helps confirm your follicles, make sure there's no cysts, fibroids, and everything like that. I had an endocrinologist since I have Hashimoto's, but if your thyroid levels came back a little off from your OB labs, definitely get one on your team. We ran some updated labs and started me on levothyroxine to optimize things before conception, because if you didn't know, a lot of miscarriages happen because of an undiagnosed thyroid issue. Now, I don't play when it comes to my teeth, and I kept hearing how pregnancy can affect your gums and even cause tooth loss, so I went in for a full checkup. Turns out I needed some crowns and fillings, and let's just say I'm out of $4,000, but honestly, it's worth it to avoid my teeth falling out down the line. And last stop, my dermatologist. I literally brought my entire skincare lineup to my appointment to find out what's safe when trying to conceive and what's not. My doctor helped me clean up my routine and make swaps that won't mess with my hormones or my future pregnancy. So if you're starting your own pre-pregnancy prep, I actually made a free downloadable checklist with all of it.
I lost both of my fallopian tubes, and so I 24. I can't get pregnant naturally, and I always tell people that relatively soon because I just be feeling like that's like such a huge important piece of information. Like a man to see you, and they be like, "Oh yeah, you know." They want to plan a future. They want to make you their wife. They want to have your kids. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. I can't have kids, so I don't even know if we want to continue this conversation. And I feel like that weeds a lot of people out for me. I lost both of my fallopian tubes, and so I 24. I can't get pregnant naturally, and I always tell people that relatively soon because I just be feeling like that's like such a huge important piece of information. Like,
Well, she always tells people soon. She gives up her Pussycat Facts report early. Only real women will do so. And you know, she understands that's her pain. How you say that's her truth?
Just found out that the drop in the fertility rate is because women under 19 are having no children. Women under 19 are having no children. What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't think anybody under 20 should be 21, 22, 25 should be having kids. Because, like, what is a 19-year-old or under doing having a kid? It just don't make no sense.
Y'all see that? That's the systemic programming that they don't get it. They just don't get it, homie. You understand me?
Guys, why is having a baby so hard? Why is having a child so hard? I just want a child. It shouldn't be this hard all the time. You know, the amount of times I'm just like, should we just pull the plug and just call it quits? It's so hard. I just want one child. And it's just one thing after another all the time. Why? No, people will never understand how hard it is. Like, it's the hardest freaking thing you'll ever have to do, just to have a kid.
Hey, Dolomite, yeah, I ain't see it. I should have paid attention. You're right.
Kids need to stop worrying about having kids in this generation until they have all of their shit together.
No, that's wrong. I'm just cooking up something.
What we really need is to stop having kids so that way we can rework what we're gonna be.
I'm just cooking up a little bit.
I found out that I'm AS genotype when I was pregnant in 2018. I was scared to death because my husband is AC. Luckily, our baby turned out to be AA. We moved to the UK 2 years later. I am currently pregnant. The test unfortunately shows that my baby is going to be SC. Before I got married, I did a genotype test twice, which actually resulted in me being AA. After I got married in 2018, I did another test while pregnant, and to my surprise,
so her baby gonna be born with sickle cell. One of my cousins has sickle cell.
Okay, if someone works in an OB office, if you're either a doctor or a nurse.
I'm just setting up. Just setting up, man. I got some stuff for you. Just like to show guys, like, yo, man, when it comes to, they ruined it. The pussy is out, homie.
Spontaneous abortions, infertility, sterility, diminished libido, impotency, menstrual difficulties, and stillbirths are all linked to lead toxicity, plus all of these things, and these things, and these.
It's a lot when it comes to this box.
It's highly concerning to me that a lot of 20-something-year-olds actually think that it's so easy to have children in your late 30s and 40s or whenever. Women cannot have children easily past 35, sometimes even earlier, because they're...
Hold on, they said something. I want to try something real quick before we get to the main event. They said something. Hold on. Hold on, Pimpin'.
I seen a young lady on TikTok yesterday having a nervous breakdown, mental breakdown, crisis, just crying, her eyes out, just saying how she's a single mom, how she doesn't receive any help from the dad. The baby is 18 months.
Hold on. All right, hold on.
Okay, so the thing is,
Hold on, Pimp. All right. I'm gonna do this for you, man. So I was trying to get prepared for the show, and the algorithm threw this name at me. They threw this name at me. Some woman named, she's an influencer named Jessica Petway. Okay. And a lot of women came out because she had, cervical cancer. and they was telling her it was fibroids, and everybody's in an uproar that she got misdiagnosed. Okay.
In Jesus' name, I am here.
So, what do we always say? They pray over each other's box. And like I said, guys, we're ahead of our time. This is a quick class, but understand we're ahead of our time. And this info is going to come out, but we can't have them let it come out as a victim. They're trying to blame the doctors, okay? They're trying to blame the doctors.
I cannot express this enough for women of color, okay? Go see more than one doctor. What happened to this woman was tragic and it was avoidable. Doctors practice medicine. Doctors take your chart.
Some girl named Jessica Petway had the cervical cancer.
I probably recorded 5 different times before I realized that I'm lost for words. I was going to, and I'm sorry, I had a long emotional day. I was going to educate about preventative care, getting pap smears, what are fibroids, bleeding, what does that mean, when to go to the doctor, but
that nigga, what's good? Look, crying. Look.
And all I can say is that the health disparities do exist.
Here we go. Health disparity. Now, let's say that nigga Dolomite was good. Let's say health disparities do exist, right? Let's say that's the case. Will you admit that the black box is the one that needs all of the health care? Like, we got to get something out of this for the men. Like, no, you cannot sit out here and say we got black box because of the health disparity. No. Hell no. They're blaming the doctors. And this Jessica Petway, they gave this girl to me on the timeline. She's, I guess, an influencer who has cervical cancer.
This is Jessica Petway, and she just recently passed away from stage 3 cervical cancer. And of course, her death could have been prevented if she wouldn't have been misdiagnosed. Jessica, a 36-year-old content creator, went to her doctor with concerns that she had intense bleeding, fatigue, and just overall weakness.
See that? Now remember, guys, she's talking to women. She said intense bleeding. As a man, and I don't know nothing about box, I'm like, intense bleeding where? What are you talking about? What the fuck do you mean intense bleeding? What does that mean? I'm a regular dumb man. So you see how they just word things, but you're supposed to know what that means. See, they try to, what's the word, that nigga? They try to not mask, they try to change the tone. They try to change the word play. Intense bleeding, and ma'am, intense bleeding out of her vagina. Say it.
Bleeding, fatigue, and 6-year-old content creator went to her doctor with concerns that she had intense bleeding, fatigue, and just overall weakness. Her gyno diagnosed her with fibroids, and in case some of you don't know, fibroids is tissue overgrowth in your uterus and is actually a pretty common diagnosis, especially women of color.
See how they tell you every day? Right, vague, right. Vague. I like that. I couldn't think of the shit, man. Vague. You see? Because the wordplay is weird. They're extremely vague. If a man was listening to this, I would know. I would like, listen to what she just said.
If you don't know, fibroids is tissue overgrowth in your uterus and is actually a pretty common diagnosis, especially women of color.
Now, when you say that, ma'am, am I supposed to say women of color have worse box? than, the counterparts. I got to get something out of this. You cannot just talk about it's Fibroid Awareness Month and the men are not supposed to know what do they take out of this. And that's where we at, man. That's why we do the class, because they're extremely vague.
So of course her gyno was like, okay, woman of color, heavy bleeding, this is easy, it's just fibroids. Despite Jessica having blood clots that were a size of a placenta.
Here we go. Blood clots the size of a placenta. Jessica Petway lost her life due to bad box, and the women are trying to blame the doctors. Now that's going to take us all the way back. Yo, so did she just get diagnosed with fibroids, or did she actually have any fibroids in her box? Did she just start getting blood clots? When did she first start thinking bleeding was bad? See, and they're trying to victimize having bad box. She was an influencer, so she was supposed to pay top dollar. Right. I told my ex-wife she was extremely vague. Bitch, you ain't saying nothing. Fuck you mean you talking to me? That's what you like. What do you mean you're talking to me when you ain't saying nothing? You see? And we gotta say stupid words like vague and all that dumb shit. Nah, ma'am, you ain't saying nothing. Fuck you think you talking to? And she gonna get upset and go look up the word thinking I'm stupid. No, you ain't saying shit. So I gotta show you some sort of stupidity and say you're extremely vague. Now you so smart, but you ain't smart enough to manage your own pussy. Like Jessica Petway. Rest in peace.
She described on her Instagram post. Fast forward, Jessica continues to get hospitalized because the bleeding continued and her blood levels were so down she needed blood transfusion constantly.
But she was your top influencer. She knew how to make the outside of her body look good, not the inside. This is a great case study, class. This is a great case study. She was known for being a beauty influencer. Yes, on the outside. And now they're trying to blame the doctors because, she had cervical cancer, fibroids, PCOS, BV, yeast infections, low iron, somebody else's blood in her body, which could have caused the cervical cancer. No, we cannot let them just say anything. She just said the woman had to get continuous blood transfusions of different persons' blood. Okay? That could cause cancerous polyps or whatever that shit is. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
The bleeding continued and her blood levels were so down she needed blood transfusion constantly. She couldn't even get surgery for these fibroids because she didn't even have enough blood supply.
She couldn't even get surgery for the fibroids as a top-notch influencer. Her money couldn't buy the fixation of her box. Well, her money couldn't buy the reconstruction of her box. Her money couldn't buy the reconstruction of her box. She was a top influencer. This shit made the New York Post, from what I hear.
Many hospital visits and tons of interactions with doctors. 7 months later is when a doctor sends Jessica to see an oncologist. And this one did a biopsy on her. And she says on her Instagram post, I quote, "When I woke up from anesthesia, he casually said, 'Yup, you have stage 3 cervical cancer.'" Wow. If Jessica's GYN could have taken the necessary precautions of doing an ultrasound or sending her to do a biopsy just in case to make sure she was okay, they would have detected the cancer when it was small. I'm glad the story is going viral and we need to continue raising awareness about this because I can't stress this enough. If you are a woman with a uterus, advocate for yourself. Ask for ultrasounds. Ask for the biopsies. Get the second, third opinion. This is your life in the line, even if these doctors keep minimizing your pain and dismissing.
There you have it. Even if the doctors keep minimizing your pain. Platt, what's good? Even if the doctors keep minimizing your pain, ma'am, you're minimizing the management of your box before you get to the doctor. We know as women of color, you're looking to fuck up your body and pay for it to get fixed. That's what we know. So yeah, this girl, Jessica Petway. Okay.
Finding out a Black woman died from something preventable is just devastating as an OBGYN. But then finding out that this was mistaken for a benign condition like fibroids, I felt the need as a fibroid surgeon and specialist to comment. And there's some things we could learn from this. One of the things that I really want folks to know is that heavy bleeding is never normal. Even though other people in your family.
They said the woman had 4 blood transfusions or more. That could have had cancer in the blood, anything, man.
And sometimes I catch myself in the mirror and I'm just like, Jessica, we got to do better.
YouTuber Jessica Petway has died. She was 36 years old. According to E! News, the beauty influencer's sister confirmed her death on Instagram. The mournful tribute revealing Jessica died last week, nearly a year after she first shared her devastating diagnosis, stage 3 cervical cancer. The tragic announcement also an explanation for her fans after her prolonged absence on social media.
I hope that you grab whatever you could from this video. I hope you grab some tips.
That's Jessica a decade ago in one of her earliest YouTube posts. Her channel kept on growing as she shared beauty secrets and her life at home.
As you guys can see, I am rocking a new do. These are.
Dang. I try to tell you guys, son. They are not equal to you. These bitches yell the white man is the white man, and that then believes him. Right. Let me read this over. They yell the white man is the white man. White man this, white man that, then believes him about their bodies. Facts. And upset that he tells them lies about their bodies. Facts. Do y'all know that a doctor's office is called a practice? Okay. But I go to the whole point of this is the independence. You got your own health coverage. Nobody could tell you what to go check on or what you failing at and how you not keeping up with this and that because you don't need a man. Nobody's there to judge your life. Nobody's there to say, bitch, you know you need to go to the doctor for how you got burned over the stove that day. Anything. They don't have anything around. This is what independence gets you, King. You understand me? So, you heard what they said, right? I could go from here. You heard what they said, right? They said, what did she die from, class? What did she die from? You niggas just want to be entertained. What did she die from? What did Jessica Petway die from, class? That is the class that we're teaching. What did she die from? Huh? At least let me know you're listening a little bit. What did she die from, class? Jessica Petway. They sent that to me. I said, all right, I guess that'll be, this is the medium class. This is the early class. I guess they wanted us to talk about this today, you know, because I know my guys, I know you guys heard about it, but you don't know how it goes. You understand? When they get this cervical cancer, son, it kind of, it disables. They become a little bit of immobile. You understand me? And they, you know, they could recover. A lot of times they recover and stuff like that. Because they fighters, man. I'll give you that, man. They are. So that's why I told you these women are gladiators, pimp. They are the best I've seen, man. I mean, they know how to deal with some real stuff, man. Now, all of it is self-inflicted. not being aware, making sure that they're alone, that they have to deal with this by themselves like dummies. Don't get it fucked up. Yes, they are stupid. But at the same time, my God, these bitches is I mean, Jessica Petway is not a one-off. You understand me? It's just that I never really want to go there. All her Medicaid fixes have to do with something, right? All their medical lives have to do with taking something away from you. You cannot take a battery out of a car and it still runs. You can't disconnect the hose from a radiator. Like it's this, the human body, like you cannot play with these parts like that. It's just like a damn car. I mean, I got this work up here. I was just looking for this one to start with. Sorry about that. I got it over here on my iPad set up and ready, just in case something like this had happened. All right. I got it all set up. Go back over here to the iPad. Just want to let you see what happens at first.
Blow their mind with the miracles that you're going to manifest into their life this year. Amen. All right, story time. 5 months ago, I was not able to move my legs. They were completely numb. I could not feel them at all. The middle of last year, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cervical cancer, and I had to undergo treatment in order to kill the cancer cells in my body. That treatment included radiation therapy. Yes, the radiation killed the cancer, but it also greatly damaged the nerves in my legs. Not to mention, I started my cancer treatment right after having my baby boy. I was told it was going to take a couple of years to repair my nerves. But do you see me here? Do you see me just months later moving my legs? And the pain is getting so much better. It's still there, but I can manage it. My healing is a testament to God's glory. I'm no longer walking in fear. I can't. I have too much joy. And this is just the beginning. The second part of my mission is to save lives. I have been finding joy in telling my story to others to make sure that they can prevent this from happening to them. I'm praying and asking God, anyone that's listening to this, may your better come sooner than you expected. God, I ask that you...
There you have it, fam. I just like to show you guys the real deal. You always hear women talking that boss up, equality. I just want you guys to see the real deal. Brothers, all they sit around and do is complain. You heard me? Like, this is real shit. They're facing real things. You understand me?
Good morning and happy Monday. We are here in another week. Although it is gloomy and raining here in Dallas, Texas, I'm going to make the best of this day, and I'm going to be intentional and successful, and I'm going to have a productive week. I claim that, and I do believe that. What I want to do today is I want to make a quick video and talk about the 5 steps that I took towards myself advocating for myself once I received the cervical cancer diagnosis. I believe these steps really helped play an important role in me surviving cervical cancer and getting the answers that
Bro, I'm not going to let them sit up here and try to glorify bad box. I'm not doing that.
Anytime you hear cancer at a later stage, you just think death. I thought that ringing the bell was going to be the end of it. By December of 2024, I was completely paralyzed from the waist down. Screening is the only thing I know that kept me here, that saved my life. Hi, my name is Gabrielle McCord Shuford. I'm 36 years old. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and this is my survivor story.
You understand, guys? You understand?
So I often get asked, how did I find out about my cancer? And it actually happened simultaneously for me when I found out that I was pregnant. I went in for a regular pap smear with just a traditional OB, and she found abnormal cells. She referred me over to an gynecologist, oncologist, and at my first doctor's appointment with him, he did like a pelvic exam. He saw what he thought to be was precancer, but then also saw that my cervix was changing and told me to go home and take a pregnancy test. And I was actually pregnant. So I had a high-risk pregnancy. I was monitored by my traditional OB and the oncologist my whole pregnancy. Everything was what you would consider to be normal for the most part until about my 35th week. And that's when the area where they thought the precancer was had hardened into a mass and grew 3 times the size that it was before. I did have a small part of my cervix clipped while I was pregnant. They didn't want to do too much so they wouldn't compromise my cervix in my pregnancy. I was also told that if it became life-threatening while I was pregnant, that they were going to have to deliver my baby early. I don't know why that came up. Oh, because I did this. But they're going to have to deliver my baby early. But I was able to deliver get induced at 38 weeks. My baby was perfectly healthy, praise God. And then that's when I continued on with.
Dang. That's why I try to tell you guys, sometimes I don't go down this road because it's rough. Like, okay.
I wanted to come on here and tell Black women that y'all need to go get the pap smear. Go get the pap smear. It don't take that long because the rates of Black women having uterine cancer are higher numbers than before because some women refuse to go get pap smears. And some people don't find out until they go get a pap smear when you're supposed to routinely get one every year, every 6 months. Don't wait until you're 21. It's literally when you become sexually active, you're supposed to go get one. So go get the pap smear. It's a little cringy, but listen, some doctors have gentle hands. My doctor has gentle hands. I hope yours have gentle hands. But Black women in general, need to go get pap smears. It will literally save your life.
There you have it. When it comes down to the box, it's always critical, King.
Without a test, you don't have a testimony. Look at everybody in the Bible, and I'm going to leave you alone. Look at everybody who was tested, all the greats. Abraham, God told him to go, and he took his own son. You got to trust God to that point. It wasn't until the end where God said, Abraham, Abraham. He looked behind him, and he was like, I have your sacrifice, not your son. I just wanted to see if you was going to trust me. I just wanted to see if you was going to trust me or give up on me or curse me. Or Job, that's my favorite book in the Bible. I named my daughter Keziah because his daughter was named Keziah. Job was tested how many times? And he never gave up on God. I lost everything twice, but I never gave up on God because I knew he had me. I just had, it was necessary. It's necessary. So don't you give up without a test, you don't have a test.
Just letting you know how they really talk.
Without a test,
okay?
You don't have a testimony.
Imagine coming into the hospital terrified and in pain. Doctors diagnose you with cervical cancer and your life flashes before your eyes. You start to think about what will happen to your family if you're right. And while you are facing your life's greatest challenge, doctors decide to dehumanize you and treat you like a guinea pig by using your cells for research without your consent. And your cervical cancer cells change medicine forever, but you don't even know it. Henrietta Lacks was a Black woman whose cells taken without her consent.
That's what we've been telling y'all. Stop doing stuff on your own. You're giving the police your DNA. You're giving the doctors your DNA. You're stupid. Stupid. These are some stupid people, son.
I had a feeling that no one has checked in on you lately.
Man, you bitches, man. I'm starting to get upset. Starting to get upset, son. All right? I'm sick of this shit.
Less than 2 days, I will be having surgery to burn off a piece of my cervix as cancer prevention. Now, this is not my normal content, but I do feel like I need to come on here and talk about this because somebody needs to hear this. So, quick story time on how I got here. I tested positive for HPV in 2022.
Oh!
I did not go for my 2023 checkup. Ladies, go.
Oh, shit!
Checkup, get your pap smear, get your body checked, make sure that you're healthy. I went in 2024, this past September, and I tested positive for HPV again, but I also tested positive for abnormal cells.
Oh,
shit! Abnormal cells, they send you for a colposcopy, which is a biopsy.
Oh!
So that they can.
Family. HD Live. Do you hear this? HD Live. Do you hear this bullshit? HD Live. The woman said she went to the doctor. HD Live. She went to the doctor. The doctor said you have HPV. Guess what she did, HD Live? She said, "Oh well," and she kept living her life. And she said, "Well, I'm gonna go have my checkup next year. I ain't gonna do nothing. I'm gonna just see if it politely walks out of my life." So the next year she goes to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Ma'am, I told you, you have HPV. Why are you out there giving this pussy to people?" HD Live, is this bitch crazy? Is she evil? Come on, King. Come on, King Disagreeable, man. We try to take it easy. We don't really go to the HPV and the stuff that they're giving out. You understand? We don't really go to the diseases. For the only thing we really cover is BV, yeast infection, regular bullshit. And we did the chlamydia because of the ectopic pregnancy. But for the most part, we don't really go to all of their fucking STDs and all that shit. You know, because they want to use, oh, that's curable as their defense. You understand me? We want to talk about shit that ain't got nothing to do with men and ain't curable unless you change your life. See? So we try to talk past shit that's curable, but yeah, we're going to have to start cooking them. Maybe some of our guys don't know about these things like HPV and all these different things these bitches do to niggas. You understand? This is crazy. HD Live said, that his ex came out and told him after 7 years. Man. HD Live, man, you was transparent enough for me and the rest of the channel and King Disagreeable. You're a transparent dude, B. You get to hold some things back, brother. Don't worry about it, man. You know what I mean? You're a very open source for the brothers, man. So you can hold a few things back, man. Love is love, man. We appreciate you being very candid with us. You understand? I appreciate you, pimpin'. Yeah, they making all the bread. Yo, these bitches, we told niggas before, these bitches fund the medical industry, fund the lipo industry, fund the gastrologist industry, fund the fibroid industry, fund the BBL industry, they fund the eyelash industry, fund the fake hair industry, fund the makeup industry. They fund everything. They stupid.
I did not go for my 2023 checkup. Ladies, this because somebody needs to hear this. So quick story time on how I got here. I tested positive for HPV in 2022. I did not go for my 2023 checkup. Ladies, go to your yearly checkup, get your pap smear, get your body checked, make sure that you're healthy. I went in 2024, this past September, and I tested positive for HPV again, but I also tested positive for abnormal cells. After you test positive for abnormal cells, they send you for a colposcopy, which is a biopsy of the cervix, so that they can test the abnormal cells to see if they are precancerous, if they're cancerous, or if they are, they'll go back to being normal cells at some point. There were two concerning areas during my colposcopy. So they had to test both of those during the biopsy. One of the areas was fine. It was like, these cells will probably go back to normal cells. But the second area that they tested did test positive for a precancerous lesion. I was actually traveling when I got the results back. I was in Switzerland and my doctor called me. She called me 3 times. I didn't know it was her. But when she called me, by the 3rd time she called me, I answered because I'm like, this could be an emergency. So it was just her letting me know what the results from the colposcopy was. And she was like, you have 2 options. One of them is procedure.
Hold on, Pippin. Hold on. She was in, Pep. She was in Switzerland living it up, right? And the doctor called her, beating her phone up while she was in Switzerland. Ma'am, your box is bad. Red alert. Your box is bad. Your box is bad. So she was in Switzerland like, damn.
Doctor called me. She called me 3 times. I didn't know it was her. But when she called me, by the 3rd time she called me, I answered because I'm like, this could be an emergency. So it was just her letting me know what the results from the colposcopy was. And she was like, you have 2 options. One of them is a procedure called the LEAP, where you come in and then we're going to remove the area with the precancerous cells on your cervix as like prevention so that they don't turn into cancer at some point. And the second option is to just come back in 6 months, let us retest to see what's going on and how those cells are doing pretty much.
Stop the show. So the cancer said that the doctor said you could come in now and we can do something, or you can wait and see if just your regular lifestyle would heal it. What option do you think she took? Did she take the now option or the later option? Which one you think she took, class? The now option or the later option? Talk to the players. She chose the later. Let's see.
And then how those cells are doing pretty much. The thing about the areas that did test positive for precancerous cells, those cells will turn into cancer at some point. It may be 10 to 15 years from now, but they're not going to go back to normal cells. So being as though those were my only 2 options, I was like, well, I'm just going to have that area removed. So in 2 days, I am going to go in for the procedures. They're going to use
Okay. So she went with the first one. She went with the first option. She went with the now option, okay?
And it will just burn off that area of my cervix, hoping that they have removed the abnormal cells from my cervix. They can't know fully what the results of the LEAP procedure is until I'm tested and we see like kind of where everything is at afterwards. Ladies, if you have access to healthcare, even if it's Medicare, go and get your yearly checkup done. Because all I keep thinking about is, what if I wasn't going to my yearly appointments? Like I missed the one last year. But what if I wasn't going to the doctor regularly and I didn't catch this? And then next time I go to the doctor, they're like, oh, you have cervical cancer. There have been so many young people in their 30s dying from different cancers. And
there you have it, fam. It is what it is. You heard? You cannot let these bitches normalize garbage box. All right.
January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, and I wanted to touch on this because nutrition does play a role in the possible regression of the disease. So HPV is actually very common. About 80 to 90% of women are going to be exposed to it in their lifetime. However, there are certain strains that can be high risk, and high risk for what, you may ask? Cervical cancer. You would typically find out if you go to your women's wellness exam and get a pap smear. There's no routine test for men, so they don't even know if they're carrying it or not. And so what happens is that if you're found to have HPV and it's high risk, or maybe it's progressed to precancerous cells like CIN 1, 2, or 3, you might be told to wait, and it's not really likely to progress into cancer. And like, yeah, but like, sometimes I'm like, who is that really even true for?
Like I told you guys, I just want you niggas to see how these bitches talk. Don't ever get caught up in some gladiator BW trying to boss up talk to you, man. I don't play that shit. We know what it is. You heard? Like, you don't get to talk to me like that. I'm the strong one here. Fuck you think you talking to?
Maybe
Let's go.
I'm gonna be really candid with you guys for a second. So this whole fibroid / possible endometriosis situation is honestly really starting to weigh on me mentally.
This whole fibroid endometriosis is starting to really weigh on me in a heavy, heavy way. Ma'am, you look good though. Ma'am, the world should be your oyster, right? Why you think that you got the blonde streaks with the dark and the... Ma'am, how is life nothing but a dream based on your Fibonacci sequence? Ma'am, why is life not perfect for you?
Whole fibroid / possible endometriosis situation is honestly really starting to weigh on me mentally. At first, I just thought, oh, I have an ovarian cyst. They can take it out pretty easily.
God damn, plus the ovarian cyst. You know? Yo, y'all niggas got to show me how to hook up with you niggas on Discord, or niggas got to get my new number or something. B. Like, this is out of control. I want to be in the loop. Let's get back to it.
To weigh on me mentally. At first, I just thought, oh, I have an ovarian cyst. They can take it out pretty easily. And then when I found out it was fibroids, I realized it was more serious. And now that it might be endometriosis as well as fibroids, it just keeps getting worse. And I know I'm having surgery to fix the problem. However, these are chronic conditions without a cure, and they do come back eventually. And what's really getting to me is that you guys already know I'm 37, I'm single, I don't have any kids.
Uh-oh. Pay attention.
They do come back eventually. And what's really getting to me is that you guys already know I'm 37, I'm single, I don't have any kids.
There you have it. There you have it. I'm 37, I'm single, and I don't have any kids. Ma'am, you lived your life already as a rock star. You don't think that should have been good enough? You live life as a rock star your whole life with the fibroids and the endometriosis. This is your payoff.
Conditions without a cure, and they do come back eventually. And what's really getting to me is that you guys already know I'm 37, I'm single, I don't have any kids, and my body is starting to fail me. And I just can't get it up.
And my body is starting to fail me.
I'm single, I don't have any kids, and my body is starting to fail me. And I just can't get it out of my mind that I wish I would have had a relationship earlier that
Pay attention, guys. These are the real bitches talking.
starting to fail me. And I just can't get it out of my mind that I wish I would have had a relationship earlier that would have worked out, that would have resulted in marriage and a baby, and that I wouldn't have to have these thoughts now that, am I ever gonna have a kid? Maybe it's just not going to work. Because women with these conditions have a really hard time conceiving a lot of the time. And I'm already 37, and there's no man on the horizon to even have a baby with. So I'm just really kind of in a bad place right now.
Now, once the government, the AI, you know, all the big elites and everybody, once they found this out that was happening in society, and they didn't want women to stop and go create families and keep being taxpayers and everything, this is why they came up with the science project called IVF and IUI. Because most women are coming out, living their lives in their 20s, starting to think about wanting to have babies in their 30s, but then you got to find a man that is so-called on your level and all that. That don't happen. Pussy starts to fail. I mean, expeditiously. You could put on a wig and all that, but that rapid pussy failure is crazy. You hear me? And what do we always say, class? We can read your pussy, we can't read your mind, but we do know by reading the pussy, we can get about a 10% read on the mental, you know, mental ability of the bitch. She's fucked up. We know it. Only real bitches will say it though.
Already 37, and there's no man on the horizon to even have a baby with. So I'm just really kind of in a bad place right now. And I'm trying to stay positive, you know, anything can happen at any time and blah, blah, blah. At least I'm catching it, you know, before it gets worse and yada, yada. But I can't help but think, you know, I'm my age, my body is failing, my reproductive organs are failing, and I am not a mother. And that's always been a lifelong dream of me.
Ling Ling, don't overeat. Right. Right. Now, this woman is telling the real truth. That's why I tell y'all, how come brothers ain't covering? How come brothers, when you see other brothers on the internet, they're covering like, you know, yo, the wall is undefeated, talking about looks and things like that. This woman is telling you what the real wall is. I don't know how to be with a man. I never thought that my pussy would double cross me. Even though I was giving niggas endometriosis, ovarian cysts, and fibroid pussy the whole time. But I still thought that I would be able to get away with murder. Crazy. Why brothers ain't covering this, Zim Zim? This is the truth. How could you get it? This is the truth, man.
My body is failing, my reproductive organs are failing, and I am not a mother. And that's always been a lifelong dream of mine, to be a mother. And it just really hurts, you know?
That's the truth right there. All this other shit is bullshit, man. All this other shit is bullshit that you can sit up there and let women that look way worse than her. Now, she looks like Beyonce. We always say, bitch, you don't look like Beyonce. No, she looks like Beyonce. But listen to her story. Listen to her mind state. You understand me?
And
Hey yo, HD Live. Zim don't got no beef. He likes to make sure that we keep the show cooking. You know?
Of mine to be a mother. And it just really hurts, you know, and
Here we go with Zim starting his shit then. Here we go. Here we go with Zim bullshit. Most definitely, if you want to know her, understand her box. I'll give you that. As a matter of fact, I'll let that pass. Because it's way deeper than that, man. Fuck understanding her. This is a miserable woman. You don't think your life is better than hers, Zim? From a regular day-to-day standpoint? She's telling you what her life is. You don't think your life is better?
you know, before it gets worse and yada yada. But I can't help but think, you know, I'm my age, my body is failing, my reproductive organs are failing, and I am not a mother. And that's always been a lifelong dream of mine, to be a mother. And it just really hurts, you know, and it's kind of hard to articulate how exactly I'm feeling, but it's really kind of painful because it's just, I already kind of was thinking in my mind, you know, I'm getting older, maybe kids aren't in the cards for me, you know, but maybe it'll happen. But now with all this medical stuff going on, maybe it won't. And it's honestly, I'm trying to put it out of my mind, but I can't help it. And it's just so much that we as women go through, and it's just really hard. And as a single woman going through this, you know, really difficult time alone, makes it even harder. So that's it for now.
You understand, guys? Yeah, HD Live. Nigga, HD Live, man. Listen, brother. I had to ask for you to get in the damn Discord. So who do you think you are just putting people in the Discord? I had to ask to get in. Shit.
A win is a win. A win is a win. I don't care what.
Honestly, I'm just making this video so more of them come across my timeline. Excuse my little fucking battle when I dropped my phone on my fucking lip last night. Anyways, but my spouse was literally getting out of the military in less than 6 months, so they wouldn't even do anything.
All right, let's move on, man. Hold on a sec. Let's just go anywhere with this. All right, come on, guys.
Excessive hair loss, acne, weight gain, and then also like a circle with a strand of pearls around the edge. And I thought that was funny because I love pearls, but no, I did not want strands of pearled cysts on my ovaries. Also, PCOS is hereditary, but it can also be brought on by other health issues. And unfortunately, right now, there is no known cause and there is no known cure for PCOS. And that to me is heartbreaking. So I first just want to start off.
Okay. Don't let them talk fast. Don't let them talk fast. You just heard the other woman say it's heartbreaking. Now you heard this woman say it's heartbreaking. What's heartbreaking, Prince? A lot, player. A lot. These niggas in here talking fucking green juice. So let's all learn together. These niggas ain't having no class without us. What green juice do you prefer, player? Because I love to make some juices. Give me a good green juice recipe. I love my juices, dog.
By naming some of the symptoms that are caused by PCOS, and that includes abnormal, absent, or irregular periods, excessive hair growth, excessive hair loss, acne, weight gain, and then also full-blown obesity. It can also cause extremely oily skin, and then the worst of them all,
I look different.
Infertility, depression, inappropriate male features, and unwanted body hair. I don't want to freak anyone out. You can have many of those symptoms and not have PCOS, but unfortunately, there are many women out there who have maybe only one or two of those symptoms and they do have PCOS and they don't know it. PCOS manifests differently for every woman out there. For me, back in middle school, I was a late bloomer in pretty much every aspect you can think of. I had a boyish figure and I used to get teased for it, but I had a friend back then who also had it and she didn't know either. And she got her period when we were in elementary school, and she was very developed by the time we were 14. And I hadn't even begun to hit puberty yet. To this day, our symptoms are completely different. She struggles with excessive body hair and weight gain, and I struggle with infertility and insulin resistance, but we both have PCOS. So over the last 7 months, when I started my YouTube channel, I have had people ask me about my PCOS. And so I'm just going to answer some of the main questions that I get right now while I give you my quick journey of how I found out I had PCOS and then what we did to beat it when it came to infertility. The first question that I get asked the most is, how did I know I had PCOS? And sadly for me, I did not find out until I was 26 years old. I'm 29 now, but honestly, when I look back, the signs were probably there starting around 14 years old.
What I teach you guys? What I teach you guys, man? What I teach you guys? It always goes back to the early ages of the dawn. Okay? They always know it. You understand me? It's just that when you have it, when you think it's a good thing that you could learn that something's wrong with you when you're a young girl, and then you grow up to go outside and men are foaming over you and you like, but I got PCOS, and they like, I don't give a fuck, give me this pussy. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, after they get the pussy, you get to just play with them niggas and monitor their eggplant and call them and argue, and you get to do all of this shit as a woman. Ain't that a beautiful thing? Then after that, you get to marry the nigga, act like you could get pregnant knowing that you can't, mess around, get pregnant, miscarry on the nigga, then say, oh, I never knew I had this condition. Let me go back into my family ancestry. And then you come to this nigga with a story. Yeah, because my great-grandmother had it. So yeah, making a baby with me might be, 50-50. Don't you think that's a good life to live? Don't you think so? Yo, I want the recipe. I don't want to hear all this bullshit. What's the green recipe?
As I said earlier, I did have a boyish figure. My body was very athletic. I was flat-chested. I played sports, so I had muscle tone, but I didn't really think anything of it. And I didn't get my period until a month before I turned 14, and I was the last one of all of my friends. And from there, my periods were basically irregular from 14 to 21 years old. I never knew when it was coming. It came when it wanted to. I could not track it. The cycles were always a different amount of days.
That's why I always tell you, brothers, like, if a woman bleed on you 2 times in 1 month, then you can understand, because this PCOS will throw off periods and stuff like that. Plus the endo will just bleed. So if a woman bleed on you like 2 times in 1 month, she'd be like, oh shit, my period back already? Oh, my period came early. Oh, this, oh, that. Brothers, just stay focused, okay?
It was honestly awful. And on top of that, when they would come, I would have the heaviest flow on the planet. It was the worst. I'd have to sleep on towels. I'd have to sit on towels during the day. I was basically bedridden between the intense cramps that I was having and the fact that anytime I made one move, it was just like a gush. And I'm sorry if that's TMI, but this is PCOS.
Ma'am, it's not TMI. It's perfect. Now, the question is, do you think a woman that does not have those conditions have a better pussy than you? Would you say? If you didn't have those conditions, would you say you have a better pussy than you? So the information is very valid, man. It's not TMI. It's valid. You're being real and you saying, yo, look, I know other women got better pussy than me, but I done fleeced a man already, so I'm good. I get it.
Actually lost so much blood over the course of those years that I was diagnosed with anemia because of that. After 6 years of dealing with that, fast forward to 21 years old, and I finally decided that I had had enough. I needed to do something, and I got on birth control. I just wanted to.
Here we go. Fast forward. What does she do, King? She gets on birth control. Class, she's 21 years old. She's been dealing with this shit her whole teenage life. But once she get on 20 years old, once she becomes 21 years old, right? She gets on birth control. The question, class, this is the first question I'm asking for the real question. Why did she get on birth control? Why did she get on birth control at 21? I'm not giving any hints this time, man. I always give out hints. But I believe I said the hint. The hint was 21 because she went her whole teenage years dealing with the irregular periods and this and that and that and this. And then she said, when I turned 21, I said, I'm going to do something about this. Why did she say that? To get her degree? No. She was going to get her degree no matter what. Why did she say this?
Diagnosed with anemia because of that. After 6 years of dealing with that, fast forward to 21 years old, and I finally decided that I had had enough. I needed to do something, and I got on birth control.
Now, remember, here's the hint. Here's the hint right here. Wrong answer, Zim Zim. Here's the hint right here. She said she had anemia. So taking birth control is not going to help no damn anemia. So, okay, I guess I'll take trying to trick a man. I guess I'll take try to trick a man and try to fleece. But the more specific answer would have been, now she's 21, she's ready to fuck. You see what I'm saying? So now she's 21. She didn't say she had enough. She's ready to fucking fleece a man. You understand where I'm coming from? Now she wants to be sexually active, and she knows that bleeding on men might gross them out. So she want to make sure she get on birth control. And what does she do? She kills two birds with one stone. She's not going to have the slippage of the bleeding, and she could fuck raw and don't get pregnant. You understand? This is at 21. So at this point, we see that she was born, with hereditary traits. Then she went scientific to start contaminating her pussy so that she can fuck. So let's see what happens. Oh, I didn't see it. I didn't see your no, you ain't say no right answer. I didn't see it. I did not see no answer of you saying anything. Oh. Because see, I'm watching the YouTube. Sorry about that. I'm watching the YouTube chat screen over here in case they flag us. But over here, I got the StreamYard. So I wasn't looking at StreamYard. Platypus got the answer. He is right. Top-notch box investigator. Platt got the answer right. To fuck without consequences. Praise Jesus. That is the number one specific answer. Okay? To fuck without consequence and not have slippage of bleeding irregularly. Okay? And these are the type of tricks that they do. You understand? These are the tricks that they do. I forgot Platt was in the building. It was the StreamYard thing. That's some bullshit. What's really sad about all this is the amount of potential wasted by attractive sisters with awful box. True. However, Borgen is a ruthless savage, so it balances it out. It's still sad and pathetic, though. I agree, because I always say, yo, fuck this pussy. You understand?
was diagnosed with anemia because of that. After 6 years of dealing with that, fast forward to 21 years old, and I finally decided that I had had enough. I needed to do something, and I got on birth control. I just wanted to have a regular period, and it really did help regulate my cycle. It also lightened it up significantly, and I was no longer getting caught out in public with only just a minute to spare before I ruined an outfit. Because
that's the only reason why you did it. They speak so vague. You understand? Ma'am, who the fuck you think you talking to? The only reason you took birth control for your body is so that you wouldn't ruin your clothes in public. I'll be damned.
As my periods were so irregular, that meant my ovulation was irregular, and I stayed on birth control for 5 years up until
Pussycat Facts Report. I haven't watched this video. 5 years. So she was a teenager. She dealt with it. 21. She was on birth control for 5 years. Let's go.
Caught out in public with only just a minute to spare before I ruined an outfit. Because my periods were so irregular, that meant my ovulation was irregular, and I stayed on birth control for 5 years up until we were trying to get pregnant. During that time, I did get married, and I
hold on, pay attention, man. Yo, don't let these bitches fast talk us. Slow this down. Let's slow this down. Let's slow this down. Let's slow this down. Listen, I had bad pussy. I did get married.
5 years up until we were trying to get pregnant. During that time, I did get married. And for 5 years, I'm no longer getting caught out in public with only just a minute to spare before I ruined an outfit. Because my periods were so irregular, that meant my ovulation was irregular, and I stayed on birth control for 5 years up until we were trying to get pregnant. During that time, I did get married, and I stayed on it until we tried to get pregnant because I was just afraid that I would ovulate randomly and end up as a pregnant newlywed, and I didn't want to have a baby right away. So that.
See that? All on her terms, because she's hiding the Pussycat Facts Report from this man. You see that? She's making him wait on her terms, like her pussy working, but she know it ain't already.
Trying to get pregnant. During that time, I did get married, and I stayed on it until we tried to get pregnant because I was just afraid that I would ovulate randomly and end up as a pregnant newlywed, and I didn't want to have a baby right away. So that brings us to a diagnosis. Total from start to finish, I had infertility issues for 18 and a half months. At this point, I got off my birth control and waited for my period for 8 months, and it never came. And that's when I decided to go to the doctor and find out what was wrong. Finding out is very easy. All you have to do is get a simple blood test, and they can look at your hormone levels that way. And if you're curious of what type of birth control I had before I was on, I think orthotricycline low is just the pill form. These next questions are also my most asked questions, and they are: how did I conceive with PCOS? What medications did I take? And did I do anything specific to help myself out? Because gynecologists don't specialize in infertility. They can only help you to a certain point, and then they have to refer you to a specialist if what they did not work. With my gynecologist, I did 3 rounds of unmonitored Clomid, and by the 3rd time, I was taking the highest dose, and all 3 rounds failed. Again, I don't want to freak anyone out. So with that being said, I know several people who have gotten pregnant with Clomid and had very healthy babies and have had success more than one time.
There it is. There it is, HD Live. Once again, a man has got fleeced. Now he's at doctor after doctor, infertility clinics, all because he chose this bitch. And guess what she's going to do? Continue to go to the doctors to try to make sure she give that man a baby. Does she care what kind of baby comes out of her faulty canal? No. It's all about fleecing that man. Yeah. And she's a guinea pig. Try and clot whatever the name of that shit is. And she's a guinea pig. And her pussy so bad it fell twice. And she don't give a fuck. Who's the sucker here, though? She told you her whole life consisted of her having bad box. Her whole life. Her whole life. Her whole life, son. Yo, here we go. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. But I understand where King Disagreeable's coming from, because people don't understand. If you take birth control, if you got overgrowth of yeast, if you have a bad gut system, if you have a bad diet, there's great chances that your baby's gonna be slow. It just is what it is. It is what it is. And I know that I could ask men and say, yo, do you think the black women will ever change their diet for the welfare of their own box? And black women will say no, because I say, no, they got to eat this, that, and they got to be serious, and they got to be portions, and they got to, wellness. And that's not a winning fight. Medicine sounds perfect. She got to take, she's a clown. But behind every bad box is a good man.
Specialized in infertility, they can only help you to a certain point, and then they have to refer you to a specialist if what they did not work. With my gynecologist, I did 3 rounds of unmonitored Clomid, and by the 3rd time, I was taking the highest dose, and all 3 rounds failed. Again, I don't want to freak anyone out. So with that being said, I know several people who have gotten pregnant with Clomid and had very healthy babies and have had success more.
Ma'am, you should not be promoting that shit. That shit is, these women are the worst. They're promoting scientific failures. It's almost like letting Dwayne Wade. It's almost like letting these babies do whatever they want and promoting that shit and not dealing with the mental, backlash of this shit.
More than one time with just Clomid alone. Side note, if you didn't know, fertility meds can cause a multiple birth. Like you can have twins or triplets. So just keep that in mind. If you do ever decide to go down the fertility medication route, you are at risk, I guess, for multiples. Some people love that though. Me personally, not my thing, but yes, you can have more than one sometimes. So about 3 months passed between my 3rd failed round of Clomid and going to a specialist. Most of that was me just waiting around because I was in denial. Another part of that 3 months was me being waitlisted to see my specific specialist. And if you are in the Atlanta area, her name is Dr. Desiree McCarthy Keith. I will just list her in.
Ma'am, you are batshit crazy, ma'am. Ma'am, now all jokes aside, ma'am, you don't feel pathetic? Like, what's gonna make you feel pathetic that you're not you, screw you, that you're putting a man through this when he could just go fuck somebody and have a baby? Screw you. That shit ain't right.
Information in the description box below. But if you are looking for a specialist in the Atlanta area, she is amazing. Her and her team are the best. I wanted her to be my doctor for the rest of my life, even for non-fertility related things. She is just an amazing, amazing woman. So because this was my very first time seeing her, she basically started from the beginning. We knew that I had PCOS from the blood test with my gynecologist, but she wanted to just make sure that there was nothing else that we were dealing with on the table. So the first thing we did was do a full genetic.
Hey, y'all, this nigga Platypus Dreams. It's like 2 a.m. in Australia, and this nigga up here playing with us instead of waiting till 3 o'clock. Don't mess up your sleep, son.
Test on me and Brandon both, and we were good in that area. That was not the cause for infertility. They also tested, and this is TMI, but they also tested Brandon's sperm, and he was good. They call that the male factor, and
they also tested Brandon. Why? So you could try to make the excuse on him. Yo, these bitches, man. I told y'all they always drag the men into it. He gets tested. He says, Brandon's the good one. You're the bad one. And what did the girl say the other day? No, I kind of wish he was the bad factor here. I don't want me to be the one with the bad box. But in her case, this one is even worse because she just told us, I knew my box was bad since I was 14 years old. It was so bad that when I wanted to start having sex at 21, I decided to get on birth control. So she knew it was her box the whole time, but she still got Brandon tested. That's a bad person.
Genetic test on me and Brandon both, and we were good in that area. That was not the cause for infertility. They also tested, and this is TMI, but they also tested Brandon's sperm, and he was good. They call that the male factor, and there was no issue there either. Next, we did an HSG, and I will list the name right here because it's very long. And what that basically is they put dye in your fallopian tubes to see if there is any blockages.
Ma'am, you got to do all of that? Ma'am.
That may be what's causing the egg to not get fertilized. And for me, there was no problem. And my experience was actually rather pleasant. I didn't have any issues with pain or anything, but I've heard some scary stories with HSG. So if you need someone to reassure you that it's not always painful, you can shoot me a message. It's not that bad. And of course, she did a full panel of blood work, and it did still come back that I had PCOS. And thankfully, it was only PCOS, and we didn't have anything else on the table that we were dealing with.
Ma'am, you knew you had PCOS already before you met Brandon. This is how horrible the black woman is, players. Y'all don't see it. She knew she had PCOS. Talking about, thank God it was just, bitch, you knew you had it since you was 14 and most certainly at 21.
You can shoot me a message. It's not that bad. And of course, she did a full panel of blood work, and it did still come back that I had PCOS. And thankfully, it was only PCOS, and we didn't have anything else on the table that we were dealing with. From there, she was able to kind of categorize my PCOS, and I have insulin-resistant lean PCOS, which basically means I have increased blood sugar. So on paper, you would actually think I would probably be overweight, but because I have lean PCOS, I have this insulin resistance on a smaller frame. She explained to me that having PCOS is not a death sentence on my uterus, and that the insulin resistance was basically the main culprit in my infertility, and that I could definitely get pregnant. And after looking over my charts, she looked me in the eye and said, you will be pregnant by the end of the year. And that was in May of 2016, and I was pregnant by that November. Okay, so now we're moving on to medication and my course of action. It took me 2 cycles of medication with her before I actually got pregnant. So the first cycle did not work, but the second one did. The first round, we used Femara. It's also known as Letrozole, and those are a pill form medication. As I took the Femara, I was also being monitored almost daily. I think I was in the doctor's office maybe every other day. And basically, they were just checking my ovaries via an ultrasound machine to basically see.
Hey, I mean, you niggas get it. That's it, man. We got other shit to do, man. I mean, yeah, Dave. Yeah, Dave. It's endless, man. It's all of your sisters. Good looking, bad looking, rich, poor. 80%. 80%. You know? And they still don't believe that we know that you're stupid. You wasting your life. You're wasting your box away. Why they still don't believe it? Because her husband Brandon decided to have a scientific baby with this bitch with uncertainty of motor skills and intellectual disability factor. Don't give a fuck. It's niggas like Brandon, man. He's a fucking clown, even though he was tricked. But he does not, ain't no man should have to go through this shit. Just because they know that they giving you bad pussy instead of saying, nah, Brandon, look, man, look at the nice house you provide for me. Look at everything. Look, you deserve to have as many children as you want, Brandon. Go find you a good box. That's how selfish this bitch is, man. She's one of the worst, man. All these chemicals going into the baby. Right. All these chemicals going into the baby. I don't want it if she got to do all that. Come on, man. What man should have a baby like that? And like I said, at this point, Brandon married the bitch. He thought he was going to have a natural baby. That didn't work. The bitch starting to cry and say, yo, my pussy fucked up, and I just hope that things work out. Brandon like, nah, we going to work this out, boo. Fucking taking care of this bitch like a little baby. She's supposed to be kissing Brandon's ass. Come on, man. Fuck that player. Brandon needs somewhere to come talk. Brandon needs somewhere to go. Talk about this shit. Get it off his mind. Like, yo, Brandon, man. You know that bitch fleeced you, right? Yeah. No, we ain't gonna mess the nigga marriage up. No. Brandon, man, yo, I understand, man. Yo, a lot of brothers get told late that the woman's pussy is fucked up, Brandon. You are not alone. Stories are endless. That's the only tool they got to get good brothers like you. Now, let me ask you this, Brandon. If your wife said, Brandon, you deserve 3 or more kids with your success and your honor and loyalty to family, would you go have those 3 kids by making love to a woman if your wife let you. Brandon like, nah, man, I'm good, man. You know, one is enough, man. Brandon, that baby slow. Brandon gonna beat me down. You hear me? Brandon gonna beat me down. You hear me? These bitches should be helping their men find. Yeah, I agree, man. It's the age old. I mean, that's the only, sum that we come up. I mean, 1 + 1 = 2, man. Come on. These men provide these bitches with good houses, everything. Right. She's supposed to be on her hands and knees all day for Brandon, putting that man through that hell. Prince, where the niggas you had up there last time? They all here, man. I don't know why you. I mean, you cool. You understand that. Everybody up here understands the real war at hand. I don't know what the hell you dealing with. But if you want to argue with these niggas, somebody sponsor that portion of the show. Let's do it. I don't know what you could possibly be arguing about, but it is what it is. You want to argue with HD Live? HD Live, where you at, son? You wanted to pick at Zim? Zim got something to say to you, nigga. HD Live, you called that man out, you picked with him, and he's upset now. You heard? HD Live. Y'all niggas got this bullshit.
See if I was responding to the medication and to see if my body was showing signs of ovulation. And then once the time was right, based on the monitoring, anyway, an IUI is an intrauterine insemination. So basically, I chose both. And with that, she told us when we should and should not be doing it at home. And then in the doctor's office, she did the IUI procedure. The reason why I chose to do an IUI was basically because I just knew that she could get it closer to the side that we were ovulating from. So that's why I chose to do that. But you can do whatever you want and it can still work. Unfortunately for us, the very first time did not work. And the funny thing is, I had been told, and not by my doctor, but by other people and just reading and talking to women in my situation, that the first time you do fertility drugs, most of the time it does not work the very first round and that you have to do it a second time. My doctor did not tell me that, but that seemed to have been my case as well. After that first attempt with the specialist did not work, we discussed metformin. I just want to take a quick pause for metformin.
I know what you're thinking. Total glow up. What's her secret? Fine, I'll spill.
Metformin is like a miracle. Honestly, I believe in the power of God, and I think his hands are all over metformin. It changed my life. So metformin is actually a drug that is used for diabetics, but since a lot of the time PCOS affects insulin, it can help reverse some of the problem. So a few things as far as metformin is concerned. It can cause weight loss, and actually at the very beginning, they were a little bit concerned that I would lose too much weight on the metformin, because remember, I have lean PCOS, and having too low of a body fat percentage can also cause infertility. And
ma'am, you a whole damn science project. You're a piece of shit. You make the black woman seem like she ain't even powerful. Ma'am, you living off everything except your natural ability. Ma'am. That shit is wild, son. Because y'all keep missing the point. The point is she's having this baby after all of these contaminants in her body. She's gonna have that baby. So you look at 18, 20 years down the line. What kind of child is that? She's already a miniature person. Damn. If I'm Brandon, I'm knocking down her mama or her auntie. I mean, Brandon got to do something. If she put Brandon through all these failed cycles and all this wild shit, and Brandon still made sure she got his DNA to have that baby, she should be happy. Let that man be. For real. You are not. You just a sex toy. Everything you want it to be.
negative. So then I knew the Ovidrol was out of my system and I'm legit in a 2-week wait. And I went to urgent care. I told the doctor what was going on with me, and she gave me a steroid and said, you know, after your 2-week wait is over, take another pregnancy test. If it's negative, then you can take your medication for your cold. And if it is positive, then obviously you can't. And my cold wasn't just like a little cold. I actually had like an upper respiratory infection. That was on a Wednesday when I saw her. Fast forward 3 days, and I was laying on my couch. Brandon was out of town. I did not feel well. I was in my pajamas. It was a Saturday morning, and I suddenly got these huge cramps, like almost like period cramps. They were awful. And it lasted for like 2 minutes, and then it went away. And then about 10 minutes later, I got another one. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what is this? So the only time I'd ever had cramps like that is when I know I'm about to get my period. And so I ran to the bathroom, and I was bleeding, and I started crying because.
Now, what did she do after she came from the bathroom? So she went. Now, we don't know if anything bad happened, but what did she do after she came from that bathroom?
I was just like, great, another failed round of fertility medication. I just knew that I was getting my period and I was spotting. But with that being said, the bleeding that I had was not quite like regular spotting. And I started to wonder if it was implantation bleeding. And if you've had that, you know, it looks a little bit different. I wanted to make sure that that's what it was. And I Googled implantation bleeding. I don't recommend doing that. It's disgusting. But mine looked like that. And I got instantly excited. I ran to CVS and bought like all the pregnancy tests. I bought like the cheap ones, the expensive ones, the digital ones, the dye colored ones. Like I bought all of them.
We saw that before. Yo, they buy so many pregnancy tests because they know they box ain't shit. Remember we saw that girl with that bucket full of pregnancy tests? Yo, these women fund the pussy. They fund some industries that should not be funded. Just put it like that.
Of them because I was just so excited. And all of the tests came back positive. I could not believe it. I knew that the Ovidrol was out of my system and I was pregnant, but I waited a couple more days and then I tested with the digitals and those came back positive as well. And I was just over the moon. It was just a very, very happy time for us. The second round of my fertility drugs with my specialist, which total makes 5 rounds of drugs altogether, it had worked. And of course I went to my specialist for a blood test and they confirmed it there. Everything was great. I was in fact pregnant. So that is my story as far as what I did to conceive my baby. And with my next pregnancy, I fully intend on starting the metformin far in advance and attempting to just get pregnant alone with just the metformin in my system, which basically just fixes my insulin issues and will allow me to function like a regular woman without PCOS for the most part.
There you go, guys. Allow me to function like a regular woman without PCOS. I'll put anything in my body. Yo, man, I got to set up for the next show, man. You niggas, I ain't got no sponsors and shit like that. Plus, this nigga Platt's supposed to be asleep, man. No, he ain't supposed to be up here with us. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out the way. We went too long, man. Pause.